Hey fellow YouTubers, and today Shorty and I are going to talk about 8 things we learnt this year in the world of AFL.
You got 5 of them, mate. I've only got 3, so...
Well, that's just useless, mate. Get off my show now, alright? So, just one of those thoughts that came to mind after each round. I think they have 9 things we learnt, so just going one less than them because I'm not quite good enough, not quite in their area. So
knowledge is just good enough. We don't need to learn as much.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, it's possible. But we'll go with you first, Shorty.
All right.
You learned 3 things this year, only 3.
Yeah, I didn't learn much.
Well, you've just been watching footy forever. I've only been watching it for 8 or 9 years, and you've been watching it for, I think, 11, I think.
Yeah, quite a few.
2003, I think, was the year. But go for it, mate. I'm taking the words out of your mouth.
Haven't thought too much about it. You just threw the topic onto me tonight, but that's okay.
That's good, that's good.
The first one I got was the Brownlow never ceases to amaze. Just, all the speculation throughout the year, you think someone's going to win it, like you're pretty confident that these 3 will be right up there. And then Matty Pritis just comes out and wins outright winner. Yeah. Not many people saw that coming, and there's always a surprise.
You did, mate. You did.
Alright, I saw it a little bit, but...
And you said it, don't you?
Yeah, I guess I did, but, Richo was a surprise packet being right up there, and Simon Black at other points, and can't quite...
Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, and Steve Johnson as well, I guess. So yeah, it's just very interesting how each year, all the markets are out, and just so often a real outsider just polls fantastically, so... that's one thing that not so much I learnt, but just got really reinforced. But yeah. That's it. And number 2 for me was the momentum swings in footy within a game.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a period in our whole history where it's just been so extreme. You just aside, who was it? Malcolm Blight had the old 3-goal rule or whatever it was on
Lee Matthews.
3
goals in 3 minutes or a goal a minute. Yeah. And
now it's like 3 goals is just nothing.
Yeah, it can happen so quickly.
Sides lead at 3/4 time, sides trail by 6 goals or whatever, in the Anzac Day match. Just total turnaround.
Yeah, Essendon first 6 goals.
Yeah, and it happens more and more often now. I'm not sure whether it's a mental thing, a fitness thing, or just the way the game is. You rarely see goal-for-goal shootouts these days.
I miss them.
Yeah, and Hawthorn-Geelong matches of the past typify that.
Yeah, great example.
Yeah,
round 22.
The ebbs and flows of, exactly. Generally 4 to 5 goal blocks, something like that.
So weird.
Yeah, that's one thing that was really highlighted this year. And my 3rd thing is the biggest difference in the number 1 player to the 2nd.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been as big in, I'd watched the game for 11, 12 years. Any time I've seen, Gary Ablett, people forget just how good his first 15, 16 rounds were. Like, they were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were exceptional.
And at that point, I don't think he'd had as big a gap from him being the best player in the league to the next best, whether you want to call that Fife or you want to call it Franklin or Selwood, whoever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It was an amazing and extraordinary gap between our best player and the next best in line. So
highlighted by 22 votes in about 15, 16 games.
Yeah, exactly right. So the Brownlow would have been pretty boring if he didn't get injured.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
He'll be back to his best, I'm sure. So it's fantastic. He's arguably the best player of all time. So
do you reckon he can win 4 Brownlows?
I'd be stupid to say I don't think so.
That's a good way to cover yourself, mate. Yeah.
I think he can.
If he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason. You can't see him dropping off anytime soon. He might go forward and kick 50 in a season.
Yeah, just got the utmost class.
Yeah. So those are 3 things I learned over the year. But you learned a bit more than me, mate. So.
Oh, well, you probably knew what I learned. So, yeah, who really knows?
Go for it.
No coach is safe, and that's been well highlighted throughout the year. Brenton Sanderson gone, Brendan McCartney. I don't know if he resigned on his own accord or not. I think he did. So, yeah,
he might have got a bit of a push.
A bit of a push out for, and it was funny the press conference with I think it was the CEO, where they asked him, has Brendan McCartney's position been sort of questioned at times? He's like, no. It's just
so convincing.
Oh yeah, couldn't believe it. Yeah, I can't really think of any other coaches at the moment that are probably under the knife. But Guy McKenna's gone as well. Yeah, that's at least 3 coaches and probably more being put under the pump a bit more next year. They'll want to expect a bit more. So
definitely.
It's just incredible. I think Clarko's alright though. He's got a few credits in the bank.
Yeah.
And a few premierships in the bank.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. But it's sort of how that goes. So yeah, no coach is safe, and you've got to be pretty careful. And contracts don't mean much, but I'll get onto that pretty shortly.
Yeah.
I think that might have been something I learnt this year. I'll have a look. So and anyone can beat anyone. We found that in round 1, but there seems to be one weird thing with round 1 and round 23. It's sort of the opening and closing stage of the season. Sometimes you get those little surprise packets. I mean, Richmond beating Sydney. I mean, there was so much talk about that because Sydney, bit of a dead rubber for them. Nothing's going to change. Richmond to make the finals. I mean, so much to play for.
Yeah. And
people were picking the upset before it actually happened, and it did end up happening. And I don't know why I didn't put money on it, but that's another story. So yeah, no. And GWS a couple of times this year. Gee, they were so utmost competitive and arguably the worst team in the comp. They nearly bet Hawthorn at the G, albeit Hawks had probably a third of their twos out there. So they had a third of their twos against a few other sides better than GWS, and GWS got to within 8 points. I'm pretty sure, potentially even closer, and the Hawks might have just got a late goal. I remember watching that game with you, mate. We were so excited to just GWS. We were just like, come on, and they just made a few errors at the crucial stages, and good sides to carve you up every day of the week. So
it's good for the league, though, isn't it? That anyone realistically can beat anyone on their day.
Oh, for sure, and it goes in line with Gillon McLaughlin's sort of long-term goal. He wants AFL equalisation, sort of not knowing exactly who's going to win on any given day of footy. Makes more fans go, I guess. So good on him for coming up with that. Another thing, it's a long season. Round 1, Collingwood v Fremantle. Freo win by 70 points, and then Fremantle are going to win the premiership. I mean, a lot changes, and Port Adelaide's another example. They were 2 games clear on top of the ladder, and then for 7 or 8 weeks they just go missing. Bit of a flu, a couple of injuries. So it can all change quickly both ways. So yeah, I guess that's a positive and a negative, whichever way it sort of works out for you. So
it is a marathon.
Yeah, it's all about playing good footy at the end of the year, as it has been for so many years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you want to put your foot forward at the closing ends of the season and the finals. September specials like Brisbane, and we'll stick with Brisbane for now because I don't want to say Hawthorn. Hawks and Geelong, a couple of September specialists over the last decade.
Yeah.
So they've done a sensational job. Contracts mean nothing at the moment. A player's got a year on their contract, and they're just getting traded and they want out and all this kind of thing. It's like, well, you've got a duty as a player to, serve out your time at a club. And there's just so many debates where it's like anyone in any other industry, say accounting or whatever, they'd go somewhere else for, more benefits, more cash. Anyone would do it, but in footy it's like, he's disloyal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to think about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a strange comparison, but a very true one. Like, it's not frowned upon in the work industry, but it is their jobs. I mean, I know it's more than a job, but yeah, it's a bit of the tail wagging the dog, so to speak. I mean, but what can you really do if a player says, look, I want out? You want to look after him, and for both parties, because he's going to want to go, so he probably won't play as good a footy next year.
Yeah.
And you want to maybe seize the moment to get something for him while you can. So
definitely.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's alarm bells once you hear that.
The one-club players kind of going out the window.
Yeah, it's so sad with free agency, and they're just all going to the the big 4 clubs in Melbourne, or successful interstate clubs, I guess, like Sydney and whatnot. But I guess my final point is it's sort of similar, reiterating the statement, but any player can go at any point in time, seemingly. Ryan Griffin wants to go, and Zane Beams wants to go, and it's just a sort of what we mentioned in our wrap-up of the trade period. If you want to check that out as well, we'll go into a bit more depth with what was going on there. So, it's just incredible. You think you've got a good team and a good culture, and then all of a sudden someone wants to go, and it shakes the club up a bit, and especially when you lose players like Alan Christensen, for example. So much potential, so much hype. We still haven't seen his best footy, and his best footy's ahead of him. And we won't see him next year in the blue and white hoops.
No, disappointing stuff.
So it's just an amazing thing. Once upon a time, he could probably be. We've got this club, we've got all these awesome players, and they'll stay for a while. And who knows where they could take us. So, it seems to have died off a little bit the last few years. Again, with free agency, being able to trade and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't like free agency at all. That might be one for another video, but I'm writing a bit of an article on it. I think I mentioned it the other day, but I dislike it, and it kind of goes against what the draft system has put in place and what our game's about, and we don't have to do everything America does. We don't have to.
Names on the back of players' jumpers. We've got a video on that too if you want to check that out on our thoughts.
We don't have to have a lottery draft. We can do it our way. But,
make it a bit more unique.
Yeah,
that's sort of the way. But whatever works for them and whatever keeps the AFL happy.
Yeah, whatever keeps the dollars rolling in.
Yeah, that's true. that is true too. And luckily they're not having names on the back of players' jumpers. They've scrapped that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that. Otherwise I would have had a bit of an outrage for that.
It's a heated video, that one from us.
Oh, it was. Yeah, we got stuck into it. So go check that out. And that's all for us.
That's what we learnt.
We learned a bit this year. There's been so much going on, and it's just amazing how much you learn each year watching the game. I mean, I've watched it for 8 years thereabouts, and Shorty's watched it for about 12 years. So I mean, you just can never sit still on what happens in the world of footy, and again, it changes every year. So
the game never sits still, does it?
I guess that's why we learn a lot. So we can't not learn if things are changing. So it's an intriguing point of view there. So those are some of the thoughts from Shorty and myself from what we've learned this year. As we've sort of said, feel free to comment anything you've learned this year in footy. As we've said, it just changes every year, and it's amazing. So also like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to us as well. The more we have on board, the better. The more the merrier, as we like to say. It's we do. It's fantastic. So and share it around to your mates. Just help us out as much as you can. That'd be fantastic. And I've said fantastic twice, but just love the word. So thanks heaps for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you all soon.